from the studio of Two Sides of a Dime. This is Two Sides of a Dime.
Hello and welcome back to Two Sides of a Dime.
Welcome, everybody. Today we will be talking about consolidated loans.
So what does it mean to consolidate your loans?
A consolidated loan is a fixed loan that you get from the bank or whatever lending institutions. What happens is they take your current loan, so if you had student loans, your credit cards, line of credit, they merge all of that into one big loan. So most times the idea of getting a consolidated loan is to get a lower interest, and they give you a term. So they tell you how long it would take for you to pay off that loan, and you have a fixed payment. So your payment for that loan, your monthly payment will comprise of the principal and the interest. So that's what basically a consolidated loan. There's another type of consolidated loan, and it's mostly the type where these debt settlement companies, so you go to them and they negotiate with all of your creditors a lower amount, so they actually negotiate a lower principal for you. Yeah, so what happens is they go to your creditors, they tell them that this is how much that we're gonna pay, and then you pay the settlement company, you don't pay the bank directly, so they are the ones that pay your debt on their behalf. So whatever, they can either negotiate a lower payment for you, or they can negotiate a lower interest rate. So it could be either of those, and then you pay them, and obviously it also comes with a fee. And the reason why we decided to talk about this, because I did not get a consolidated loan. I wanted to, but I decided to opt out of it, and Chite has one. So we're just gonna look at the pros and cons of both of them and let you make your decision on whatever you want to do. So the consolidation loan we're gonna talk about is the type where you just go to your bank and they merge all of your debt into one. So your debt is not reducing, but your interest rate is reducing. Mm-hmm. So the debt settlement one, I don't know, it's up to you. Like for me, I feel like if you owe somebody, you should pay them. So that's the moral part of it.
That has more potential of hurting your credit.
Oh no, for sure. It's gonna hurt your credit, but it doesn't hurt it as much as a bankruptcy would. So, but it's just gonna show as a bad report on your credit. But I think in Canada it goes away after 3 years, but in the States I think it's about 5 to 7 years.
It goes away after 3 years?
Yeah,
I
it
have
goes
things
away.
on my credit report from 10 years ago.
No, I mean that negative, because it shows up as a public record, right? When you go into bankruptcy, so that goes away. So I don't know how long. Like I don't know the details because it's not just something that I never thought of doing.
Yeah, because I know, like, the reason why I say that is because I was at the airport once, and these random people come up to you and they want you to sign up for these credit cards, these random credit cards, and I didn't sign up for it, but she said, oh, give me your address, and I'll send you more information about it. So I gave her my address, and then apparently she signed me up, and I didn't know this. Oh, and so apparently I had a credit card with an annual fee that I wasn't paying because I didn't even open the credit card, I didn't even use it. So when I went to go and cancel it, it came up as someone who wasn't paying their bill because they kept charging me the annual interest, right? Yeah. But I wasn't using the credit card. This person, I guess maybe to drive up sales or whatever, she just signed me up without my consent. Wow. And pretended that, that I had agreed to this credit card. So that is still showing on my credit report as if it was something that I did not pay.
Bad payment.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, like, I've been told to call the
you can report it to
remove it, but
to the credit bureau.
Yeah,
you can fight it, but at the end of the day,
yeah,
your credit's gonna go down anyways when you're done paying it. Like you close up all your cards.
Yeah.
So.
And it wasn't like a big, like, that's the other thing. It wasn't like $1,000. It was just like annual fee, which is like $20 or something every year. And and your credit gets ruined over something as minuscule as $20, right? But I wasn't gonna pay $20 for nothing. Like I didn't sign up for that card.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, we're gonna talk about why should you get a consolidated loan. So Chite, tell us one of the reasons why you decided that this was the best option for you.
So my consolidation loan was through my bank. All of my debt was through my bank. So my credit cards, my lines of credit, I had two. Everything was through the one bank institution. So for me, I was like, okay, since I owe everything to you, might as well just have one loan to just you, you know. So I went to them, and because I had a large balance owing on my credit card, and the interest was outrageous, obviously, like 19.99%. And my other loans had maybe a 6%-ish to them. So I wanted to have like everything in one to make one payment. And also I didn't want, because with a credit card, the more like they charge you interest on the balance, and then they'll charge you interest on top of like all of the balance. So like with the new interest and everything all together, but with a loan, it's a set amount, and that's what you're paying. So like the principal remains to be the principal, and interest remains to be interest, instead of like that fluctuation. So when I went to them, I got a better rate of, I mean, it's not the best rate out there, but it was 9% for everything, which was better than having 20% and 6%. So like combining them together was a better deal for me. And since everything was from the same bank, my credit wasn't affected as much because it was still the same lender. So like if you're gonna go get a consolidation loan from an independent, you know, those independent loaners, I don't know what they're called, but like you can't go to some other,
like another bank,
or like another financial institution. Like I know in the States they have like those big names where you go to them and then they take all of your credits and then they consolidate it, and then they pay off all of your other people, and then you have just
that's how it would have been even if you used your bank. So that's how consolidation loan works. So even if you use your bank and you say maybe you were owing like 5,000 somewhere else, like another store credit card, they would have done the same thing. They would have given you the same loan and then paid up that 5,000 off.
Yeah, so that's why I did it.
How many years did they give you to pay it off?
They gave me 5. I don't remember. It's between 3 or 5. But obviously that was not my number of years that I wanted to pay. So okay, so here, this is what my consolidation loan looks like. It's I think it's a 5-year one. I think it's because I wanted a 3-year one, but they said that it was better for 5 years because of the way my income was and all of that stuff. They wanted to give me room to live on top of on top of like paying my loans. So they said, okay, we give you 5 years to pay this loan. But my loan is not closed, it's an open loan, so I don't get penalties if I wanted to overpay on my loan balance. So I was like, okay, they can give me 5 years. I know that I want to get this done at the most in 2 years, but my goal is to get it done in 1 year. So since it's an open loan, I can make extra payments on it without me being affected. So when I have more money, I can pay towards my extra balance. And when I don't, then at least I'm able to pay my minimum and still be okay for those 5 years. And since I started overpaying, they keep readjusting my number of years. So like my years keep reducing on the loan. So every time they give me a statement saying, okay, you have 48 months left, or your loan has changed, like now you have 12 months left, less than what you had. So every time I overpay, the loan balance reduces and the number of years reduce. And also, if you take as long to pay, you pay more in interest. The earlier you pay, the less interest you pay over the period of time. So that's my thought on making early payments on loans.
So, for me, when I went there, because when I went to consolidate my loan, I didn't want to consolidate my car loan because I only paid 2%. So like, there's no one's gonna give you a better deal than that. So the plan was for me to consolidate all of my credit cards and my line of credit. So when I went into the bank, so what they usually do is, yes, they give you a lower interest rate, but they extend how long it will take for you to pay that loan.
So
if you notice, they were
eventually
trying to
you're gonna
convince
pay-
you to go from a 3-year to a 5-year. If you had a 3-year, you would have paid less interest than if you had a 5-year. So what they do at the time of whoever the financial advisor is, when they're calculating, because I was all up in that guy's screen. I was like, show me what you're doing. I want to know how this process works. So they first of all look at your credit. So that determines what interest rate they're going to give to you. So obviously, if you are going to have a lower interest, you're not going to be making a lot of money. So they try to convince you to have a longer term
period, yeah.
Because the interest rate they calculate at the time they give you that loan is a fixed interest. So for example, if I wanted to, at the time, I think mine was, they wanted to give me a total of 30,000 because I had the 15,500 from the credit card, I had the 10,000 from my line of credit, which was 25, and then I had the little 1,000 and 1,000. So he was like, oh, that should be 30 grand round here. I was like, okay. So he wanted to give me 5 years to pay off the 30 grand. And then, so I think the interest that was calculated at that, so what they do is they tell you this is your interest rate and this is your minimum payment. They don't tell you what your interest is going to be. So you look at it and be like, oh wow, I have 30 grand and 5 years to pay it off at okay, my minimum payment was going to be $590 per month. So I was like, that's not bad at all. I can easily make extra. And the reason why I went to do that, because you know that initial stage where like you're just so overwhelmed and you don't know, like, I don't know how long it's gonna take me to pay this off. Like I didn't really have like a fixed, like I had made my plan, but I just wanted to know what my options were to start with and see, because I didn't want to be paying. I was like, I wanted to save as much as I could in interest. So what I did was I took the minimum payment and multiplied it by the number of years it was going to take. When I multiplied like my minimum payment by the number of months they gave me, it came up to about 9,000 that I would end up paying in interest. So what I did, because I'd already done my debt payment calculation, because I wanted to be debt free in 3 years. But for me, I was like, 3 years is a lot. So I was trying to see if I can do it in less by getting consolidated loan. So when I calculated how much, because the thing now with your own credit, the more your balance reduces, the more your interest reduces. So like if, for example, you had 30 grand and you paid off 5 grand at once, the next interest they're going to calculate is based off of 25,000, so it's going to reduce. So but I took what I was paying at that time. I didn't even factor in the fact that it was going to reduce and multiplied it by my numbers, which was 36 months. And I was not going to save much on interest. I was going to end up paying more on the consolidated loan interest than I would have done. And I know that eventually, as I'm being more aggressive with my payment, my interest would be reducing. So the guy was trying to convince me that, he was trying to factor in the interest I was paying at that time. He was like, you paid almost I think he was telling me I paid like 8 grand, I can't remember the number, in interest over the past how many years. And it was it kind of freaked me out, but I was like, I want to go home and do the math and see which one works for me. So that's what I did. I was I took the whole application. I was I asked him how long I need to decide. He was like, I had a week. So I was like, okay. So I took it home and did my own math and compared and saw that I wasn't going to save much from that consolidated loan. And the thing about the consolidated loan, it's not like the credit cards and the line of credit where as your balance reduces, your interest reduces. That interest rate, so my interest rate that was that 9,000, regardless of how much additional payments I made, I would have ended up paying the same amount of interest rate because they had already factored it into the loan they had given me. So any extra payment I would have made would have gone to my interest first before my principal. So I would have ended up paying that same amount. So that's why that when they start calculating your amortization rate, they calculate the interest first before they now say, okay, it will take you this amount of months to pay off what you have left. Because they actually would, I think for some loans, you actually pay off the interest part first. And then whatever is left becomes your balance, whatever extra payment you start paying. So that 9,000, whatever amount you're paying, you have to pay off that $9,000 first. And then when they're done taking their interest, they're like, okay, now you have the principal left, and then you can start paying it. So like I spent like over like close to 2 hours there with the guy because I was asking him different questions. I wanted to know like if I paid it up early, what were the repercussions? And then I kind of explained, okay, this was the first instance. The second instance, I think it was the phone call. So I tried to do it twice. This was how badly I wanted to do this thing that I was like, I want to get, because like I said before, like my credit card, it was just making me so mad because I wasn't paying it off then because I was paying off I was doing that snowball paying off my smallest first. And the thing was just increasing. And I was like, I just need this. I just need to know that I'm making a payment and everything is going down. But so the second time I called the bank and then I explained my situation and then so okay, what happened was so this time around I was like I want to get a 3-year loan. So I wanted to see what the interest was going to be. The interest was good enough. The I think I still got around the same rate. It was still good enough. But then I asked her if she could give me a 24 month and she said for 24 months I think the minimum she said was they could do was 3 years. So because they have to make money somehow and if they give you a loan with a lower interest and then you only take 2 years, obviously you're gonna be making more payments and they're not gonna make a lot of money out of interest from you. So that was just the main reason why I decided to decline.
And like for me, the way I think of it, like you had so many small little loans.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to consolidate them if you're doing a debt snowball because you'll be done with those things real quick.
Yeah.
For me, I had 2 big chunks.
But that was the reason why I wanted to actually consolidate because I felt like I had things scattered all over the place. And for me, it was just making me like so nervous having so much debt everywhere. So I was like, I want to know that okay, everything is combined to one, and I'm making a payment, and everything is going down. That was because with the debt snowball, obviously, if you have like maybe 3 mid-sized debt, you're focusing on one debt for maybe 6 months, and the other debts are just there and nothing's happening. So for some people, it might get them really anxious, like, oh, I want to start attacking those debts. So that's why I feel like a lot of people consider getting a consolidated loan because you're just letting those other bigger debts sit for a while, and you're just getting more interest.
Yeah, for me, my problem was the fact that my credit card interest, the most volatile, the one with the highest interest, was the one that's the one that I wanted to control. Like my line of credits, they were fine. It was not that much left, and I had been paying over 5 years at that point, and it was fine. But like my credit card, that was the beast. And the only way to tame that beast was for it to just like stop growing, and just like like being one loan with the other loans. So that way I was just making the one payment. And the way my loan works, I can make payments on my principal. So remember there was a time I was telling you something is wrong with the minimum balances that I'm paying? I called them up and they had told me that every time I call I need to tell them that I'm making extra payments on my principal and not my interest, like interest plus. So like the way my monthly payments are set up is that I'm paying principal plus interest. That's my minimum balance that I'm paying every month. But when I make the extra payment, I'm supposed to specify that I'm paying my principal. Because if I just say okay, I'm making an extra payment, they divide it in the same way as principal plus interest. And when it was going to principal plus interest, the next month my balance reduced, like the minimum balance reduced because it thought that I was making the next month's payment.
Oh, I see.
So every time I make an extra payment, I have to specify what I'm paying for. Otherwise, it goes on the wrong place. And then I was so confused. I was like, what is happening? Like, why are they playing tricks on me? Why is my balance changing every month? But like, you have to specify what you're paying for. And then that's the only way your minimum balance, like the number of years reduces if you pay on your principal as well.
So obviously there are the good side of it and the bad and some of the, because for me the interest difference for me was not that much because my line of credit was 11.99 and my line of credit was 11 something and then my credit card was 11% as well.
Okay, so your interest was the same.
My interest was already low enough. Not as low as I wanted it to be, but that's why the savings for me was not that much of a difference. So The thing about consolidated loan is don't use that as an excuse to just be like, okay, now I have this monthly payments that I'm gonna make. Because now, for some banks, they're gonna close all those credit cards and whatever loan that you had opened that they're paying off. And for some banks, they don't do it. So now you've moved, because the consolidated loans, what you're just doing is moving your credit around. You're just moving it from this pot into this other pot. It's still your credit. You still have to pay it off. You still have to make your monthly payments. Now you have 5 to 8 years that they're giving you these PLS loans, and you lose track of what you're doing. You fall back into your old habits. You start using your credit cards again. Now you're like, oh, now I don't have credit cards.
5 years is enough to go back
open
and
another
wreck your
credit
life.
card. If you want to consider getting consolidated loan, I feel like you already have to be in like the first 3 steps of being that gazelle
intensity
paying off your debt. First of all, you have to know how much you owe. You have to know what your interest rates are. You have to have made up your mind that I want to pay this debt off as soon as possible. You want to have that mindset shift where you know that, okay, this debt is gone and it's going to be gone for good. You have to have that, like, your budgeting, you know, like everything, you know. Because for me, like, I already had that in place. That's why when I went into the bank, I knew what I was going in for. I knew what I wanted, and if I told myself that if I wasn't going to get what I came for, I was going to walk away. And that was exactly what I did. Because I had my numbers with me, it was easier for me to make a decision. As opposed to when you go in there,
and making a blind decision.
They're trying to make money off of you. Like, don't think those people are your friend. They might look nice and friendly, but they're not your friend. They're trying to make money off of you. So they would try to convince you to take the option. And for anyone that walks into your bank and they're like, oh, you only have $500 minimum payment. For me, that would have been so easy. I'm like, wow, this would really
my minimum payment is 360.
Yeah, so that would, and they try to give you the least payment as much as possible so that they can extend the life.
Yeah, that's the reason why. Because when I wanted to get the 3-year one, it was gonna be a 500 and something, and they were like,
oh, you need to enjoy your life.
Yeah, you need to live life. You need to make savings and all these things. And she was trying to make a plan for me to start saving. I was like, listen, Hansi.
I'm 3 steps ahead of you, so don't worry.
I
got
what you're trying to do. And the other reason why I wanted to consolidate my loan is because I knew that if I was just making payments on my credit card and reducing that balance, I would still have the extra balance. I wanted to get rid of that monster as soon as possible because I knew, like, if I did not close that credit card out, I would be in trouble because then I knew that I still had that credit out there. So for me, that was a better decision because I was like, okay, now it's a loan. I cannot take from it. I can only give. Like, I can only put it off. At this time, it's a fire that just needs to be put off.
So don't go for it if you don't
know what you're doing.
If you don't have your plan set out for your debt payment schedule, you don't you know that, okay, this, I'm getting this because I'm trying to like fix this. I'm trying to get it together because it's so easy for you to get that consolidated loan, and now you're like, oh, I have a very small payment, and that extra, like, if you had like $1,000, like Chite, to say, I'm going to put $1,000 towards my debt, and now they're giving you $350, you're going to spend the rest of $700. You're like, oh no, I have all this extra money to play around with, and it's so easy to use that money for something else that would have been your debt. And quite honestly, at the end of the day, 5 years, if they give you a 5-year loan, you can easily do it in 2 to 3 years, based on what the bank is giving you. So make sure you have that vision as to where your debt is going. You've already done your calculation. I would say don't go into the bank until you've done your calculation. You know, this is how much I can put towards my debt, so that if you go into the bank and you compare your calculations and the calculation that you're doing, it's easier for you to know when you're going to be, like, when the bank is giving you a good deal. And they're like, okay, even if if you go into the bank and you say, oh, by my calculation it's going to take me 4 years to pay off my loan, and then the bank gives you 8 years, and you say, okay, how much interest am I going to pay? You say that, okay, for the 8 years the bank is giving me, I'm going to pay 10 grand, and then going my way, I'm going to pay 9 grand. That's $1,000 in savings. There's $1,000 you would have saved by getting your own. So I would say just take the consolidated because it's just like, it's $1,000.
Yeah, it doesn't make that much of a difference.
Yeah, so if you know you're going to get a lower interest rate at the end of the day. So be very careful with consolidated loans. A lot of people I know personally have done it and they just ended up getting into more debt because now you've just created room both in your budget and for credit wise, where you can just
you just cleaned up your act. Now you're starting afresh.
It's like cleaning your house, right? Like sweeping and just pushing all the dirt under your couch where no one can see it, but it's still there though. You lift it up, it's just there.
It's under there somewhere.
Underneath.
But then now you're like, okay, now I can bring in more sand. It's a slippery slope. It's a good solution if your head is on straight. But if you haven't changed your debt mindset, if you haven't made a plan, if you haven't done the groundwork, it's very hard to change your habits.
Yeah, very, very hard. Very hard. You're gonna get yourself into more trouble.
Because now you have, like, now that you've fixed your act and now you have maybe, let's say, a minimum payment of $300 and you have this new loan of 20 grand, you can easily fall back into another 10 grand. Now you have 30 grand where you only had 20 grand to begin with.
For me, I would say don't get a consolidated loan if you haven't done your homework, if you're not gazelle intense, if you're not going to save a lot on interest payment, if it's going to take you, if the bank is giving you a long window to pay off the debt, don't take it, because if you're gazelle intense, trust me, your pay off, what's it called? The number of months it would take you to pay for debt is going to reduce. Because for me, I went for 3 years and now I'm at 2 years. So, because it's so easy for the bank to give you 8 years and you're like, oh well, 8 years, I can do 8 years, and you relax. You would so fall off
8 years is so long.
You would fall off your gazelle. A lot of people are comfortable with minimum payment, so it's so easy for you to look at 8 years and like, especially with people that feel that I'm always gonna have a payment. So you feel, oh well, $300, I can add that to my budget. That's easy, because now you feel like, oh, now, especially when you were feeling overwhelmed before, like, oh, I have all these little payments I'm making, and now the bank just gave you $350. You're like, oh, that's so relieving, and you just settle, and then you just relax, and then you know, let everything.
I mean, it's good for, like, for me, it's good for when you have an emergency and you need to use that extra payment for something else. But also you have to go back to our episode on emergencies. And know what exactly is an emergency.
For me, why I would say you can take it is, like I said, if you end up, if you're gonna save more money with the interest rate the bank is gonna give you, or if you have a major life event coming up, say you're doing your debt snowball and then you find out that you guys are about to have a baby or something, or you're planning for a wedding and you want to start saving money, you can do a consolidated loan so that you know that as you're making your minimum payment, your debt is reducing and you don't have all this debt scattered around where you're not completely neglecting everything, and then you can save for whatever life event that you have. And then when you're done with that, you can continue your minimum payment. You can continue your increased payment. So it's like I feel like it's a personal decision at the end of the day.
And it depends on the timing, and it depends on where you are in your debt payment. It's like there's so many factors.
I
just do it because someone told you to do it.
For people like in the States, I know their student loan works differently. Where some people have like 25 different like small size student loans. So in that kind of situation, and most of those student loans are within the same interest rate. So you can just merge all of that into one big giant debt and just know that, okay, this is my student loan debt, and then you can start paying it off. So it depends on what your situation is. Some people would rather have a debt snowball. Well, they know that, okay, this small debt is gone, cancelled, out of the way. This one's gone, cancelled, out of the way. And then you keep paying, and then you just keep going that way. So it all depends. Like, I feel like this is it's a decision that you have to make logically.
A sober decision.
Not based on your emotion. Because if you go into that bank feeling overwhelmed and scared of where you're going, like I feel like I'm never gonna finish making this payment, and then you go into the bank and get a consolidated loan, you're gonna end up with a huge loan, more than you expected, because at the end of the day, the bank still wants to make money off of you. They're not just gonna give you something and say, oh, take this and don't pay it off. No, they still want to make money off of you, so they're always gonna give an option that benefits them and would make them money. So just calm down, go into the bank, And it's okay for you to say, okay, let me think about it. So go home, do your research, compare your numbers. You can call a few people and say, okay, the bank is offering me this, and this is what I think. And I've been listening to Dave Ramsey's show, and that's what he always does. Like when people call him and say, oh, I'm thinking of considering my loan, he always asks them, how long is it going to take you, based on your calculations, to pay off your debt? A lot of people, they're like, oh, it's going to take us 18 months. He was like, then
Why
pay it off in 18 months.
Yeah.
Because the bank is not going to give you 18 months consolidated loan. They're not going to give you that short of amount of a time. For me, the bank wasn't going to give me anything less than 24 months. They said that their cap was 24 months. And after that, so you always have to get a 2 to 3 year loan. So at the end of the day, you're still going to pay more money. So if you know that it's going to take you a less amount of time than the bank is offering, just go ahead and throw that on your debt snowball, put your charts on, and pay off your debt.
Also, make sure if you're getting a consolidation loan, make sure it's an open loan. Like, make sure that you can make extra payments without getting penalties.
Yeah.
Because
always ask that question.
Because if you don't, then all of this is in vain. You'll still be stuck with the 5 years that you didn't want, and you can't do anything about it because you can't make extra payments without having, without being in trouble, without them charging you more money on top of it.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful with that.
Yeah, and if you have not, if you go back to one of our first episodes, we talked about things that your habits basically. So if you've not fixed the root cause of why you got into debt, and then you try to just move your debt around, you're gonna still get into more debt because you just, like I said, you created more room for. Because now you only have one debt, and it's so easy for you.
Yeah,
to get
it's like
into
if
more
you
debt.
have clutter and you just move into a storage room.
And now you're like, oh, this is room for me to bring in more stuff.
Now you buy a new lamp while you have a lamp in the storage room.
That is so true. So make sure you fix that
Fix
thing, that thing that gets you, those little things that get you easily enticed. Fix those things first before you go and get more loan. Because at the end of the day, you're taking debt. So we don't want to be using debt to solve debt, but if it makes sense for you mathematically, logically, and everything else, then get it. There's no reason why you shouldn't get it. But if you're just doing it based on you don't know what to do with your life, so I'm just gonna get it consolidated and make a minimum payment, trust me, honey, you're gonna get into more debt. So don't do it.
Don't do it. I feel like we say don't do it a lot on this show.
Don't do it.
It's like, today's topic is don't do it.
Yes, do not do it. Yeah, because I mean, this is something that we've done in the past, and like I always say, like I did my own mini debt-free journey, and I didn't fix the root cause of my issues, and I went into over 4 times, what am I saying, 10 times more debt than I was before, because now I had all this freedom. So before I was overwhelmed, and I was like, oh, I have all these little debts, and I ended up paying them, and then now I was like,
It's also, have you noticed that it's also
what do I
relative?
do with this
Like
credit card?
when you first did your debt-free journey, you had less money, and therefore whatever little debts that you had, those minimum, like,
I remember
material.
It was like $3,000 or something.
It felt like
felt
the
like
whole
the end of the world.
Yeah, but now, you know, the more money you make, that's why people think, oh, getting a better job is gonna solve my problems.
Okay,
it is not.
So what? Okay, let me just give you a full picture of what happened to me in those days. Like the job wasn't that great, the pay wasn't that great, and I had a little bit of debt. So like I had from my furniture, like the store loan that I had a credit card. I think the credit card was like 2,000. Like it wasn't that big. Okay, I was like taking stuff up, like I wanted to quit my job to make sure that, and then I found Dave Ramsey at that point. I was like, I need to pay off my debt and this. So at that point, those smaller debts, I saw it as something that I could conquer. But my car loan, because I had just bought my car brand new, so my car loan was at 30-something thousand. That was like, I was like, I don't think this is like, I don't know how this is gonna happen. So my next plan for that was get a better job. So I was like, okay, I gotta pay the small one first, so that I know that I just have my car payment left, and then save money, quit my job, and then find a new job, and then pay off my car. But I did not put a plan into place until this is how I'm gonna do this. So all of that worked, because when you tell God something, He gives it to you, right? All of that worked. I got the better paying job, and I became extra stupid.
Money makes you stupid.
So all that, oh, I'm gonna pay off my car loan as soon as I get a better paying job. That's why we're trying to make you understand that it's not your income is not a problem.
The
It's
income
your
is not
habit.
your problem.
The income is not a problem.
If
I
you-
got a better paying job. I got a job that the pay increase was the exact amount of my car. So if I had lived the same lifestyle, although I know I had to move cities, which was going to be a cost for me, if I had lived the same lifestyle I was living on that previous pay, I would have paid off my car so easy in a year. But I was like, nah, I'm living the life now, so I gotta,
Make it rain on them.
yeah, so and that's why now for me, like even having this podcast for me, like I cannot afford to slack because I know that after paying this loan, I've I have been projecting into the future and making all the plans.
Amen.
Because there's nothing as like making a plan, having it written down. That's why I love Dave Ramsey's big steps because there's a step for each stage in your life. You know that okay, after debt payment, what's the next thing? I'm saving for emergencies. After emergencies, oh, if I want to get a house, I'm saving for a house. After that, I'm saving for retirement. There's a plan in place, and you know that okay, this is the next. Because it's so easy, especially when you've been so result intense. When you just like
fall apart.
Now it's time to reward myself, and then you go back into the same cycle. So yeah, we don't want to do that. So yeah.
Moral of the story is make sober decisions.
Make sober decisions.
Use,
and fix your problems, okay?
Yeah. Make sure you maintain your gazelle intensity. That's the only way to get out of a consolidated
gazelle
loan,
intense.
or to keep up with your snowball. Like,
make your extra payments. Use the same plan that you would have used and just carry it over to your consolidated loan if you decide to get one. So if you know that you had that $1,000 that you would put aside, you said, okay, I can do $1,000 every month towards my debt, and then the bank gives you $350. Take that extra $650 and put it towards that extra payment towards your loan. Don't just slack and start using the money for whatever it is that you use your money for. So that's all we got. So you know the drill. Follow us on social media at 5 our